Welcome to this video. In this video, we discuss about the meaning, origin and development of transnationalism. We all know that the world today witnesses an unprecedented level of globalization and interconnected. In a sense, we can say that today's world is an entirely integrated world. Physical and virtual boundaries are now becoming more feeble, and they allow for a variety of cross-cultural contacts and engagements. So, transnationalism is a phenomenon that has been brought about by this changing global environment. This is a fundamental change, the change that decides how people, communities, and institutions interact with one another, and by surpassing the conventional ideas of nation states and static identities. So today's world is more integrated, interconnected than the world that we witnessed in the past. So now it is very difficult to overlook the importance of transnationalism in the contemporary world. So how this transnationalism, what does transnationalism means, and how it influenced the current world order, that is more important, that's the most important focus of the today's world. Transnationalism influences all facets of human existence today. It influences the political structures, the economic systems, the cultural expressions, and the technical breakthroughs. We know that today political structures are much interconnected. We discuss more about the transnational or international politics, international relations. So any political event that happens in a particular space in the world will have an instant impact on other parts or the political system of the other countries. So is the case with economic systems, or an economic development that happens at one end of the world may have an instant instant reaction on the economies of other. A simple example can be found in the stock market. When the index of the New York Stock Exchange has an upheaval, that will have an instant impact on all other stock markets across the world. So is the integration among the international economic systems. And another example is the cultural expression, the fashions, the cultural artifacts. All these highly diffuse today's world, cutting across national boundaries. So a fashion wave that starts from a particular place, for example, a new fashion that originates in Paris, that is known as the world capital of fashions, may spread across the world in no time due to this interconnection between the societies and cultures across the world. So again, we can see examples of technological or technical breakthroughs. One invention in techniques or technology will have an easy way out to other parts of the world. All these foster a more diverse, prosperous, and peaceful international community. That's the benefit of this the process of transnationalism. And this kind of diverse, prosperous, and peaceful international community, or establishment of such a community, needs a deeper understanding of the challenges and opportunities presented by transnationalism, because we have to understand the process well. Transnationalism influences both the society we live in and the one we hope to build in the future. So let's see in this context meaning, origin, development and importance of transnationalism. In fact, transnationalism consists of economic, political and cultural processes which surpass, which transcend, which overcome national boundaries. So the concept of national boundaries is a very, very feeble concept today rather than the previous era. Because so much so is the integration between, as we have discussed, the political systems, economic systems, cultural systems, and technological interface between the places across the globe, between the continents, between the states, between the nation states situated in the global north and global south. So it's a very complex and continuous process. Once this process started, we are not able to get back. So there is no question of getting back from this process. Once we are in this process of transnationalism, we will always be in the process. Because it's a process by which individuals and communities or groups retain and develop social, economic and political ties across international boundaries. Once these ties are established, it's virtually impossible to set back from these relationships because it's a strong process of continuity. The process of transnationalism emerged with the first wave of international migration that happened in the early 20th century. Because with that process of migration, there established transnational networks between the home states and the host states, or between the home nations and the migrant communities abroad. We know migration is the movement of a group of people from one space to another space. It's a spatial mobility involving at least two spaces in which, or these spaces are termed as the host society and home society, or origin place space and destination spaces. So anyway, at least two spaces are involved in the process of migration. So the networks are across these two spaces that is carried out by the people. Especially in simple terms, the relationships between the migrant communities and their home states. Transnationalism has grown more widely in the 21st century. It has gone more widely in the 21st century due to some developments, or we can say the developments or improvements in technology especially, and in other socio-economic political processes. First one is the developments or improvements or inventions, innovations in communication technology. Communication, or what we simply say the ICT, information and communication technologies, are very much important, not just in the international relations, not just the transnational relations, but even the day-to-day life of even the people living in far interior societies. They are affected, or they are benefiting this benefits of the communication technologies. We have instant communication. The former types of communication we know, it was largely the postal communication or a telephone communication. But that evolved, and that has a sudden twist with the introduction of information and communication technology, or the internet-based, computer-supported, enabled communications. And now we are living in a communication world or a world of communication where each and every one is well knit. Today, we can say interactions are, interrelationships are happening more on the newly invented, innovated communication networks or cyberspaces than in the actual space. So communication technology is a very important improvement in the life that has accentuated, that has improved, intensified transnational relationships. Now, people who are separated, physically separated, are much closer. They are instantly involved in relationships. And another important innovation that helped transnationalism is the inventions or improvements in transportation technologies. We have now faster transportation technologies, including high-speed trains in the land space, and maybe supersonic and jet flights. So these improved technologies in transportation has also facilitated in the improvement of transnationalism. And another important process is globalization. Globalization simply means the free flow of human beings, services, and goods across national boundaries, or it also includes the interconnection between different spaces, different communities, different nation states. So this process of globalization also intensified transnational relationships, or simply transnationalism. Thus, the new type of transnationalism has emerged due to all these processes. This has resulted in the growth of multinational organizations. Now, MNC is a buzzword of economic development today. Multinational corporations, multinational organizations are there. Even multinational movements are there. So many multinational players came up due to this improvements, communication technologies, transportation technologies, and globalization. And again, transnational social movements were there. And with the development of communication and information and communication technology, or ICT mediated social networks, social platforms, communication platforms, or simply what we say, social medias, all these facilitate transnational, the greater amount of intensified transnationalism. So we are now much integrated. We are living in an era of transnationalism. When we go back to the development of this concept, only in the 1980s, the term transnationalism became a topic of discussion among social scientists. Only then the social scientists, they shifted their focus to transnationalism. Even though the process was going on, it was not gained at the deserving attention that. But in the 1980s, the term attracted the attention of the social scientists. In 1990s, transnationalism started to dominate the migration literature. So in 1990s, transnationalism started dominating the migration literature. So what happened is there evolved new perspectives on migration. There evolved new perspectives on culture, new perspectives on economy and politics. New perspectives emerged due to the globalization and consequent transnationalism. The concept transnationalism first appeared in Eugenia George's book, the making of a transnational community, a case of migration and cultural change in the Dominican Republic. Eugenia George's book marked a shift in the attention of social scientists to transnationalism. Another essay by Arjun Appadurai, titled Global Ethnoscape, has really went into greater details about transnationalism and transnational migrants, because the process of transnationalism is rooted in migration, because this kind of relationships were established by the migrant communities and sustained by the migrant communities. Later on, it is spread across the globe. In the 90s, transnationalism rose to popularity as academics started investigating how individuals and groups sustain transnational relationships and identities. Transnationalism significantly influenced modern politics and society. Transnational networks and organizations influence global politics, commerce, and culture. There are so many examples for this. Global politics today is influenced by transnational networks. We know the recent developments between India and Canada, and the ongoing political issues in Israel and Ukraine. All these have immense transnational implications. So global politics is now highly influenced by the transnational networks. The immigrant communities have greater influence on the host societies as well as on the home societies. So also, commerce and culture all are much influenced and decided by the transnational communities. And also, transnational movements are very important in the areas of human rights, environmental protection, and social justice. We have very important transnational movements. We know about Greenpeace, Human Rights Watch. Such organizations, such transnational entities, organizations, they work on a global context against social injustice, human rights violations, cutting across national boundaries. So now human rights is not an internal matter of a country. It may attract international interventions. We can say transnationalism today is a very important socio-economic, political, and cultural process that has wider meaning and that truly cut across national boundaries. In this way, transnationalism make the national boundaries feeble, insignificant. Migrant communities are significant, or they play a significant role in the process of transnational relationships.